Grasshopper has made a lot of games. You've probably played a couple of them. Not everybody knows what Killer 7 and what No More Heroes is, but what people don't talk about more enough is the lesser known stuff in Grasshopper's catalog. Is there any real reason as to why this is the case? Now, these games just have to be, like, really cool and really niche if even the most diehard Suda fans don't know anything about them. If nobody knows anything about these games, are we missing out on like a gold mine of Grasshopper stuff that nobody would even dare to talk about or touch? These games have to be cool, right? This is stuff only Suda51 and Grasshopper could develop. What kind of games are these? Well, they're anime licensed games. Now, before I lose you completely on that, just know, these games are still really unique and have a lot of charm to them. I wouldn't be talking about them in the first place if they didn't. Well, I mostly am talking about them because this is stuff that's lesser known in the Grasshopper community that doesn't really come up much in discussion, but I figured, hey, why not give these games a bit of limelight for once? Who else is going to talk about them, really? Now, I'm not going to say that this video is going to be like me talk about how much of an expert I am on these games. I only finished 2 of these more recently and decided to make this video upon finishing the other one. I figured I would just give these games a bit of more coverage since these games don't really come up very often in any gaming discussions or even in the most diehard or lesser known Grasshopper discussions at all. Think of this video as like 3 quick little reviews of all of these games. Again, I'm not like super knowledgeable on all these games and I'm also not a professional video game reviewer at all. These are just my quick thoughts on each game. So without further delay, here's 3 of Grasshopper's strangest but most unique games that they've made back in the day that are actually kind of more influential than you might think.
Saya, 戦って。
I fucking love Blood Plus. It's without a doubt probably the coolest game Grasshopper has ever made and that Suda will probably ever direct. It has the best vibes and feel out of any game they've ever made. It's a unique urban-styled open world that is kind of reminiscent of Inaba from Persona 4, set mostly during the night, making fantastic use of the Killer 7 art style, being pretty much the only other game to use it, except maybe some parts in the 25th Ward remake. The blue coloring and the harsh blacks of the shadow at nighttime, and even the beginning of the game when it's set during the day and in the morning, especially at sunset, it just looks so fucking good, man. This game just oozes so much style with its regal aesthetic of the UI, along with the creepy and weird visuals it all has, and just the pause menus. It's very reminiscent of, again, Killer 7 and how that game's visuals looked and how it went along with the UI for either like puzzle solving sections or just the general aesthetic and feel of that game and just how everything looks. There's like this certain like look to Killer 7's visuals for mostly the puzzle sections. I'll put one of them up on the screen so you know what I mean. One of the art directors for Killer 7 posts their stuff all the time on Twitter, so I'll leave a link to how his stuff looks and you'll probably get a better idea. But it just looks similar to that and how Blood Plus is. It's really cool. This game almost feels like a side piece to Killer 7 in some ways. Cutting back to this game's town, like I said before, this open world is fucking awesome. There's a bunch of little shops and apartments and even like a park you can run around and buy drinks at vending machines you can get for health. There's a ton of NPCs around town that you can talk to have their own goofy little stories you can see. All of this just makes the town feel very lived in and believable. It just feels really fucking comfy. One funny thing this game does is that between every loading screen you go through in between each area of the town, it always cuts to the moon as a loading screen, which it does look really cool, but if the moon isn't in the shot in that area, it just cuts to like a basketball or a light or some shit or like a stop sign. It looks really fucking funny. So why haven't I heard of this game? Well, like I said, it's based off an anime, Blood Plus, and it's only in Japanese. I have a very hard time recommending Blood Plus to other people because of that fact, and well, there doesn't really seem to be a translation being worked on the horizon. I've been told there's many people saying they're gonna work on it, but nothing really ever comes out of it. There are tools that do exist to make it happen, but the game has like so many weird things to it that it kind of just makes it really weird to go around since there's so many hoops, at least from what I've been told and from what I have seen. Think of this entire section of this video as kind of like a call to like anybody who knows this kind of shit, because I don't. I sure as hell fucking don't. To just get this game translated somehow in any sort of tangible way. Because this game really fucking deserves it. This game is so cool and so fucking unique in more ways than one. I think more people genuinely should play this game because of how much of a big stepping stone this is for Grasshopper. Just things to come. If you do want to play this game yourself though, the guys over at Paradise Hotel 51 uploaded an entire playthrough of Blood Plus' main campaign through Perfect Night and even Blue Mountain mode, including all of the side quests you can do in between. Also, AdrianVG did several speedruns and several full playthroughs of this game over on his channel, also including Perfect Night Kiss and Blue Mountain mode, and he also shows you how to get all of the outfits and where they're located. I can't really judge on how accurate the translation is for Paradise Hotel 51's playthrough, but I can only assume it is accurate enough to the game and how all the dialogue is. So shoutouts to AdrianVG and all of his playthroughs in Paradise Hotel 51 for translating the whole game. There's also a Japanese guide of this game that I'll link in the description too that my friend used and also helped me to use when I was playing through this game. One Night Kiss takes place after episode 7 of the show, which is its own self-contained story completely separate from the anime. Before the main crew can make it to Vietnam so Saya can infiltrate a school there, they stop by in Saitama at a town called Shiki, where Saya also has to infiltrate a school there to scout it out, as they got a tip saying there could be another Chiropteran outbreak there. So she's tasked with killing all the ones she can find there, along with her butler Hagi. It's a very cool concept for a game, and like I said, the vibes and aesthetic of this game are top-notch. This being the only other Grasshopper game that used the Killer 7 art style is really what makes it shine and stand out. Honestly makes me wish Grasshopper would make more games that look like this. It's such a cool look for a game that I can only assume isn't too hard to pull off, especially nowadays in the current gaming climate and how accessible software is with however many tutorials. But maybe this is stuff they can only pull off from the PS2, so what do I know? But how is the gameplay of Blood Plus? It's not great. Blood Plus is known for one thing mostly in general Suda discussion, and that's how this game is effectively a prototype for No More Heroes 1. The way this game is set up is basically the same as No More Heroes 1, it's just a boss rush game. It differs in the way that No More Heroes 1 does in the sense that only for half the game are you required to do side killing missions in order to progress with the main story. Which in the regular campaign mode, it can be kind of annoying when on Perfect Night it makes you want to blow your fucking head off. The combat is very simple. It is basically just one button. Square does all of your combos in the game, just depending on how far away you are, how many times you press it, and if you hold down the button during certain parts of each string. It's very cool and actually reminiscent of how Killer's Dead does its combat and how that's just one button. This game also does have a kick move bound to circle, but I never really used it. The kick move is basically only used for counterattacks you can do against bosses, and dodge moves you can occasionally do against regular enemies. You also have a guard and a roll move you can pull off with L1 and the right thumbstick respectively, which is very, very useful for bosses and also just in general. Also, occasionally when a boss hits you with a specific attack, it'll trigger a different QTE event where you press the X button and instead of rolling out of the way, Hagi will actually jump down and block whatever attack is about to hit you with his case. You can also level up in this game too, but I'll get to that later since it's completely fucked. I had a completely different section here written, and I had to re-record everything because my friend found something out just fucking today as I'm recording this part of the video. So, I'll get to it later. Just so you know, this took me and my friend way fucking longer to figure out than it should have. The main problem with this game's combat isn't that it's bad, it's just really fucking repetitive. See, you fight the same fucking, like, turtles, mermen, and bats, and whatever else every chapter is Saya, in the same sewer level over and over again. And I mean the exact same fucking sewer. They only have one room. So to any regular person going in, this game is kinda shit. Now, just hold on. It ain't all bad. For the most part, some of the bosses can range from pretty okay to kinda shit that aren't too difficult to do, and if you ever do get stuck on them, you do get a text message about a minute or so into the fight telling you how to beat it, which is very nice for anyone who's going to get stuck, if only they can read it. This game isn't 100% clear of what you need to do all the time for these fights, so it's a small bit of hand-holding that's basically required. So in the way this game is set up, it's pretty similar to how No More Heroes 1 is. Hack and slash goons for 10 or so minutes so you get access to the boss fight, rinse and repeat until the end. If you have played this game, you can tell just how similar the DNA is to No More Heroes 1. For other Grasshopper fans I've spoken to, this game is pretty much Moonlight Syndrome 2, which I can't really attest to that, so because I haven't played Moonlight Syndrome, because it also hasn't been translated, I can't really see what... Shit, never mind then. Fuck. This game is basically the core prototype for No More Heroes 1. It's really rough, but the foundation is there. There are side quests you can do as well, but they're like written by a fucking insane person. If you're playing the game yourself and you translate these on like your phone or something, you probably think these are mistranslated or just wrong, but no, they just talk like that. All the side quests do is they just give you new outfits for Saya, which there is a lot. You get one for going to each specific spots on the map periodically throughout the game as the town opens up, and one just for beating the game. It's cool stuff. The outfit for beating the game even has different animations for the fights. Overall, what I can say about Saya's gameplay is that it's pretty simple and bare bones, but it is a cool idea for what will come later. But Saya isn't the only playable character in this game.
Aoyama da!
Here's Aoyama, a character that is completely unique to One Night Kiss. Suda just put this guy in the game for whatever reason, and he's the best fucking part of it. All for except like a couple chapters near the end of the game, you don't have to do any annoying-ass grind as Aoyama. You get this sick-ass golden shotgun from, and a fucking grenade launcher for Perfect Night Kiss mode. You just get to play as the coolest fucking dude. He feels like Travis in a way, and how he acts and just how much of a fucking, like, goofball this guy is. He's also a detective as well, further cementing the fact that all best characters in fiction are detectives. Fucking prove me wrong. His gameplay is actually simpler than Saya's. He can guard, roll, and kick just like she can, but since he has a gun, all you're going to be doing is shooting people. So Aoyama's gameplay is mostly centered around ways of getting good angles around the Chiropterum to kill them. The way boss health in this game works too is actually pretty unique. For Aoyama, you simply just shoot the body parts that are targeted on the UI at the bottom right. The game automatically locks onto any enemy around you, so you don't have to worry about the camera control. It's not really a problem since you're mostly doing one-on-one fights in this game, except for the couple times where the camera just gets stuck and goes fucking crazy. The game shows what body part's health is up next to damage on the boss's health bar, and again, for Aoyama, you basically just keep shooting at that body part until it comes off. Saya, on the other hand, is very different. You still attack that specific body part, however, Saya's sword doesn't technically do damage against the bosses. What you do is that you attack the boss until your blood meter is full, shown at the top of the screen. You then go into this rage mode where you can actually do damage to the bosses. This is another way Saya and Aoyama differ from each other. After you deplete a boss's health bar, a triangle prompt appears over them that allows you to do a finishing move to kill the boss. When playing as Saya, you have to do these like 10 to 15 second QTE minigames that are, for the most part, stupid as shit or just fucking awful. Like having to move both sticks in either direction to feel the vibration and spam a random button or press each face button in a certain order or rhythm, or move the fucking thumbstick at a specific speed counterclockwise and then clockwise again, but it doesn't fucking tell you what speed. You have to figure this out, so you have to do this piece of shit fucking fence boss again. It's stupid as shit. Suda knew this, and that's why when you play as Aoyama, you just don't do these. He just straight up kills the fucking thing. Again, further cementing that all of his chapters are the best in the game. It's a really interesting way of making these characters differ more to show off their quirks. Saya feels more like a traditional action game character, where Aoyama literally just doesn't give a shit. He has a gun, so he's just gonna fucking shoot these guys. Now that we are talking about Aoyama, I can finally mention how the leveling system in this game works. It's fucked, it's stupid, and it took me way longer than it should have to figure it out. So for each sewer mission you do, you know, the murder quests where you go into the sewers and kill turtles for 20 minutes, the way it works is that you have to use a certain move a certain amount of times for it to level up. So all the times the game said, you leveled up damage or you got a new combo, that's because you were only attacking them regularly with your sword or your gun. If you, let's say, guard a shit ton, you gain new abilities relating to guarding, like being able to roll out of a guard, being able to attack an enemy after it hits you while guarding. Also, you get more stuff relating to rolling, like if you roll a shit ton, you'll have more invincibility frames after rolling and other stuff like that. Basically, the more you use certain moves, the more abilities you get relating to it. The game probably tells you this in the beginning, but I can't fucking read Japanese, man. I'm too stupid for this shit. What it doesn't tell you, though, at least from what I can tell, is what the requirements are for each ability is or how close you are to getting it. There isn't a menu showing if you need a specific move relating to guarding to unlock one related to rolling. You just never know. So you spend more time than you should just rolling around turtles and hedgehogs for what feels like days to get nothing out of it. Again, I can't read Japanese and I didn't translate every single line of text, so it's Probably somewhere I just didn't check. But as it is, there isn't any way in gameplay to tell what moves you need to unlock the next one. You can talk to Lewis inside his apartment and he tells you what moves and combos you have, but I don't think he tells you how to unlock any of them. Having stuff like your guard coming back up faster after it's broken, or being able to attack an enemy after it hits you during a guard is so useful during the early game, and the Aoyama kick combo makes this boss fight in the apartment so much easier. Speaking of that, one thing that drove me and my friend up the fucking wall for almost 2 years was the Aoyama kick combo. He read up on the guide that we used that it is in fact a thing, and we just never knew how to get it. We just thought it wasn't real and that was just like made up somehow because we didn't actually know properly how the leveling system works. How you get it is you just talk to this guy at Zako, kick turtles for like 20 minutes, then boom, you get it. It allows you to kick, then shoot instantly afterwards. It's really good. I'm more mad that I found this out because I had a whole fucking joke ready for this bit with like modded Yakuza 5 footage that I can't use anymore because it's not funny anymore. So fuck me, I guess, man. Whatever. I'd say Aoyama definitely makes it worth playing this game alone. Every single scene he's in, he steals the show, and it's such a fucking shame that this is licensed, so there's an absolute 0% chance we're ever getting a proper remastered translation of this game. Unless Production IG gives Grasshopper the rights again and says, hey, go translate that PS2 game you guys did 20 years ago. The one you probably don't have the files for anymore. This will definitely get people interested in Blood Plus again, that show that ended like 15 fucking years ago. What's crazy though is that reportedly Blood Plus only took about 5 months to make to coincide with the anime's release. So all the parts of this game that felt like it was rushed or not really refined, yeah, there's your answer. It's insane though how they can cook this up in only 5 months. There was even an initial draft of this game where it was going to end with Saya turning out to be a Chiropteran clone that gets killed off in the end. The creators really fucking hated this ending, so they probably told Suda to change it. Honestly, it's pretty understandable for a showrunner to be mad at some random schmuck who's making a game for you and your fans to end the game on the main character being killed and turning out to be an evil clone. Like, imagine buying a game based off your favorite show and your favorite character gets brutally murdered and it turned out you weren't even actually playing as them the entire time, just some skinwalker. You'd be kind of upset. Would it have been a cool ending though? Probably not, honestly. It sounds kind of shit. So as a game, Blood Plus is just alright. It's more of a piece of history to Grasshopper, a sign of things to come only later when they make No More Heroes 1, as, again, this game is a prototype version of what would become No More Heroes 1. It's not fantastic, but I would honestly say this is my second favorite Suda game. Something with this game just clicks with me like no other Grasshopper game does. It's so cool and unique that there just isn't anything else like it. Sure, No More Heroes 1 basically took its concept and perfected it, I guess, but No More Heroes 1 doesn't match the same tone or vibes as this game does. Honestly, I'd say No More Heroes 1 isn't nearly as cool as Blood Plus. Maybe I only think this because the mystique of this game being only in Japanese is cool, and I enjoyed the idea of being some pretentious dickhead who said he's played it. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm cool because I played the Japanese-only game that nobody else has. I mean, there's a tiny part of me that thinks that, but honestly, I think if you're a Suda fan, you should definitely check this game out. One day this game will hopefully get translated and more people will get to experience the game. So, yeah. Play Blood Plus. It fucking rules.
Samurai Champloo.
Gonna preface this fact right now. I have never seen Samurai Champloo. I've heard it's fantastic. I can only assume it's good if it's directed by the same guy who did both Bebop and Space Dandy. Like, dude, I fucking love Space Dandy, man. Hop on that shit if you haven't already. From what I've been told by my friends who have seen it, it's a very great show that's a lot more grounded in tone, with some exceptions for goofy shit. So how would a Grasshopper game look?
I said a meeting here. Get lost.
What? Why is that a fucking pompadour?
Quit messing with me.
I didn't stroll in here just so I could joke around with you. Hear me out. I'll talk, and you can eat.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Sidetracked is not in line with the show at all. It pretty much does just whatever it wants. The story follows Jin, Fu, and Mugen as they go around doing odd jobs to get money for food in this weird town they've found themselves in, while fending off weirdos on the way. And there's some kind of plot with, like, gemstones and a witch, and this game's story is fucking, like, schizophrenic, man. I never know what's happening. If there ever is a moment where I do know, it just does some stupid shit out of nowhere. This game is honestly kind of just incoherent. It's mostly just nonsense for almost the entire story. Again, I cannot attest to how accurate this is to the show or how offensive this might look. All I know is that the two people that I know who love Champloo say this is nothing close to the show's tone or ideas, and it's pretty much nonsense. They said it feels like Suda never even watched the show with how little it is akin to it, other than the 3 main characters are there, and it has some of the same music.
It's a little girl. No way! I had no idea Mugen was a cradle robber. He's even younger than I am.
Yo, they got your man on sex assault charges! So this game is structured with 2 different campaigns, one with Jin and one with Mugen. They both have almost the exact same levels, but you do go through some of them differently with different cutscenes that occasionally intertwine. And both characters have vastly different gameplay. Jin's moveset being much more like a refined kind of samurai, while Mugen's is much more frantic and slower, kind of reminding me of the Breaker moveset in Yakuza 0. This game's combat is kinda odd. So you see this fucking mess of a UI I've been showing you? The top there is all the button combos you can do, which you think wouldn't be necessary, but here's where the really cool part comes in. If Blood Plus was the foundation for No More Heroes 1, this game built the fucking walls and floors and installed the plumbing for that game. This game is very similar to No More Heroes 1, much more so than Blood Plus is. The way you kill goons and how all the money shoots out of their bodies. This game even has clashes too, except they happen all the fucking time, so it's really annoying. The game has a tension meter, which when full actually extends your current combo string, and when you press a certain button during a certain combo string, you actually go into this rage mode that is kind of similar to Mustang mode in No More Heroes 3, where you do increase damage and are much more faster during this mode. That happens for a short amount of time. All the combos you could do are very different for each character. The way you get more combos is from a vinyl shop in the hub world. There you can buy different music that gives you completely different movesets and combos you can do. One combo for Jin will actually play wildly different from Mugen and vice versa. It also gives you different stuff to listen to for each level. I don't think all the music is all that great, but nonetheless, this is a really cool idea. The game also has extra weapons you can swap to, but only an extra 2. You can either get them from buying them at the shop, or you earn new ones from fighting bosses or progressing through the game. These weapons actually have durability to them, so one weapon you have can do a shit ton of damage, but can break easier. One of them can give you more money upon kill, or better defense, and so on. Your default sword has infinite durability, so I'm mostly stuck with that for the majority of the game, only switching weapons when I want to try something out, or when I needed it for a boss or a group of enemies. Each weapon has different stats and speeds, so despite them sharing the same moveset, they do feel slightly different. While they do break, you can get durability power-ups mid-level or repair them at the shop when you're in the hub world. In addition to those things, you can also go to the shop here where you can get one-time use upgrades per level, like increased defense, increased damage, or increased money drops. You can also do this ice-eating minigame, or this beetle wrestling minigame you can do for money, and also a tutorial dojo that shows you all the moves in the game and how to do them. The hub world isn't, like, that cool. There isn't much to find here, and it kind of looks like shit. But it's neat. This game in general honestly just kind of looks pretty shit. This game really looks the part of being a subpar shovelware PS2 game you would find on the wall at GameStop for 15 bucks. The environments look really fucking shit, like you can count the pixels on the background for most of the levels. And the female character models in specific look like those, like, plastic face mask of anime girls you see sometimes. I don't know what they're called, but they're fucking weird looking, dude. When you do get to levels, occasionally the next zone will be gated away by a door with a man behind it asking you for a certain kind of currency called Kobans. This can happen a good amount of times per level, and Kobans do drop from enemies, but the drop rate seems pretty sporadic and kind of rare. Thankfully, your wallet items carry over to the next chapter per character, which is very nice. Now here's where the problems start. You have to do this thing mid-level a lot in the later sections of the game. Now, that wouldn't be too much of a problem if the gameplay wasn't so repetitive. But wait, you said Blood Plus's gameplay was repetitive. Why is it bad here? Bias. But also, I have a real reason. You see, the problem with this game is the act of playing the video game and interacting with its combat system and game mechanics. This is known in simpler terms as gameplay. And to put it bluntly, the gameplay of this game is fucking dreadful. You can't control the camera, and it just goes where the fuck it wants, and the right thumbstick does literally fucking nothing other than allowing you to turn the map to a fixed position or just off. And you can't ever check the overview of the map because this game doesn't have a fucking pause menu. The right thumbstick is just somehow as useless in this game as it is in Yakuza fucking 1. You have a lock-on, but I swear to God, every time I use it, the game would just go to a different enemy entirely without my input. Almost every single time I did lock onto an enemy, the game would just automatically select another target whilst I'm attacking the guy I'm trying to hit. I don't know if it's because I'm holding the left thumbstick down while I'm attacking, but it just doesn't feel like it works right. So I just wouldn't use lock-on, and the game became this cacophony of noise and shit all the time. The actual movesets of both characters range from being okay with Jin to borderline fucking unplayable with Mugen. Mugen, I cannot believe how bad he is. Maybe I'm just shit at the game, but I swear to God, I can never get any actual combo strings going at a decent pace, because I'm constantly having to deal with the shit camera and how finicky he is to pull off Mugen's stupid fucking combos. And these horrible monkey enemies that throw shit at you and run up to you and fuck you. Not to mention, Mugen's combos are much slower and a lot weirder to do than Jin's since, again, he incorporates this breakdancer-ish style to his combat methods, so he constantly jumps up and down and goes low to the ground to attack, but 9 times out of 10, mid-combo, I would get hit and it would take me out of my string, basically meaning I stopped doing any combo string variations as him, just to save myself the headache. The contrast between playing as Jin and Mugen is fucking insane, but according to my friends, that is the actual one thing this game gets correct to the show, so props to them, I guess. This game also has boss fights, and they are all bad. Well, not all of the boss fights are, but more of them are than aren't. But mostly Mugen's. 2 examples I have is during this section here in Mugen's part where you fight an entire section of talking ninja monkeys. After fighting them for what feels like 3 days, you eventually fight their leader, but you don't actually fight them head on. You fight a couple waves of infinitely respawning ninja monkeys who constantly, again, run around and throw shit at you faster than you can even fucking react. And when you guard in this game, it only guards directly in front of you. So if you think you could guard while you're getting shit thrown at your back, tough luck. You are constantly under stress from these monkeys killing you all the fucking time. Constantly clashing with them, but their attacks just sometimes go through your clash, and you take damage anyways because whatever. And if you think to do a jump attack, you just get shit thrown in your face and get sent instantly back to the ground. After 3 waves of this, the boss comes out and the monkey still fucking respawns, so I just gunned it straight to the boss with 1 health bar left. I lucked out and beat him on the first try, but if I didn't think to do that, I just would have dropped the game there. After that, there's this Oni boss fight that you immediately fucking do after you finish him. He has 5 phases, and after every single phase, there's this cutscene that plays, and you think, oh, okay, I get a checkpoint between these, that's cool. Only for me to die on the very last phase, just for you to realize, yeah, I have to do the entire fucking fight again. And the only way to defeat him is with a special move where you press the attack button and the technique button at the same time. Which is easy enough to figure out as Jin, since Jin has a technique move. But Mugen doesn't have one, so you wouldn't fucking know what the technique button is. So if you picked this Mugen on your first playthrough, you are completely fucked. I will admit, I was just being stupid here for not knowing what the technique button was or what it did, but I had to look up a PDF of the manual online to figure out what the fuck the technique button was, just so I could finish this boss and never think about it again. Again, Mugen doesn't have a technique move, and only Jin does. Who would ever fucking notice if you were playing as Mugen first? And the game doesn't tutorialize you on that. You have to go to the dojo yourself. The other boss fights that stuck out to me was this really shitty witch boss in this dream sequence level that just looks like a Touhou boss. And there's this boss fight after that level where this guy teleports around everywhere, but he doesn't have an effect, so it just looks like he's lagging. Like, this just looks bugged, dude. I died so many fucking times to these bosses that I didn't even notice that if you die enough, the game just gives you a massive defense boost so you can fight them easier. Jin's boss fights are better than Mugen's, but only slightly, and that's just because Mugen has a better moveset and controls better. Jin actually has this cool thing where if you do a certain attack during a combo string, he actually enters this second stance where he lurches forward and has a completely different moveset and combo strings he can do. It also having extensions and being affected by what music you buy in the shop. I want to mention the final level in specific really quick and how fucking evil it is. After 12 levels with both characters of non-stop dog shit, you unlock the 8th and final level for either Jin or Mugen. I believe both routes play pretty much the same in the ending, except for what final boss you fight. The level starts just as normal, fighting enemies over and over again until you reach this castle that has been set up to be really important at the beginning of the game. Only just now does the game decide that they should do something with it after however many levels of doing fucking nothing and fighting tengus and monkeys. Once you reach the castle, you notice two things. 1. Every single floor to this building looks the exact same. 2. There is a shit ton, and I mean a shit ton, of Koban gated doors that you have to unlock. So this entire level that you will be spending for what feels like an hour, constantly killing enemies so you can get enough Koban to get to the next building, in which there are fucking 6. And it takes 6 Koban per door to open them, making the grind so much more fucking annoying. So you're just constantly going back and forth, trying to find the Koban gated door, seeing you don't have enough, and you go back to kill enemies for like 20 minutes to open the door, just to get to the next building, to open up 2 more doors. And for every building looking the exact same, with the exact same layout, fighting the same enemies, I felt like I was losing my fucking mind. When you finish the game, you unlock a brand new character, Warso, whose campaign is basically the true ending of this game and has the actual story of this game. Now you're probably asking, who's Warso? Why didn't you bring him up when you were talking about the story? Well, that's because Warso only shows up in the very beginning and the very end of the game. I kinda just fucking forgot about him until the end. And also, I didn't play through Warso's campaign. I didn't want to fucking bother, man. This game is so utterly draining to play that the thought of playing it again a fucking 3rd time is just like, I'm clocked out, man. I'm done. I got my fix of this shit, dude. I don't want to do this again. It was already painful enough going through all of Mugen's campaign. I didn't even finish the final level with Mugen because going through 6 layers of hell with his dog shit combat is like, I'd rather be doing anything else, dude. I did play the first level of Warso's campaign just to try him out, and his gameplay seems a tiny bit better. His default weapon seems to do a bit more damage and is a lot faster than Jin or Mugen's, and you also get to use the exclusive weapons from the unlocked playing through Jin and Mugen's campaigns. But I really doubt that this final 3rd campaign will actually change my opinion on the game. Please let me know if you played through Warso's campaign and tell me how it redeems the game and how it's like the best part of Sidetracked, even though you have to go through like 7 hours of shit to get there. Sidetracked is nothing short of just an annoying, tedious game to play through with such a nonsensical story that, again, from what I've heard, doesn't really respect the source material it's based off, at least in the aspect of how wildly different this is from the show. This game is cool for one thing, though, and that is how similar it is to No More Heroes 1. Like I said, this game basically built everything else for that game to exist. Blood Plus and Sidetracked feel like Suda testing the waters for these ideas for a hack-and-slash game that would eventually become No More Heroes 1. Playing Sidetracked, it felt very close to how that game felt in almost kind of a surreal way. If Sidetracked has anything to appreciate about it, it's that. Should you play Sidetracked? No, honestly, you really shouldn't, but I can't stop you. Ending it off on a shorter note with something more recent. Well, as recent as we can get. In 2013, a short film anthology came out called Short Piece. It was 4 short films in one game, with the overarching theme and concept being the different themes and time periods representing Japan. The films in order being Possessions, Combustible, Gamble, and A Farewell to Weapons. All of these being directed by Shuhei Morita, Katsuhiro Otomo, Hiroaki Ando, and Hajime Kadaki, respectively. I can't say much on the film since I haven't seen it yet, but I have seen a couple clips of Farewell to Weapons, and it looks fucking awesome. But we're not here to talk about the movie. We're here to talk about the game, Ranko Tsukihime's Longest Day. Co-developed by Crispies and Grasshopper Manufacture, with Suda51 being responsible for writing the game's story. It follows Ranko Tsukigime, a high schooler by day and assassin by night. The game follows her story of running through Tokyo's streets, fighting off gross goons and zombies to find and kill her own father. It's a pretty simple hook to follow, but the main draw of it are the animated cutscenes and story, which are nothing short of incredible and honestly really funny. Each cutscene looks to be done by a different studio, and one of them actually being done by ACBU, who worked on Pop Team Epic and some of the animations for No More Heroes 3. Really cool stuff. I love how all the animations look, especially all of the 3D CG ones. What the actual overarching plot of this game is, though, I couldn't really fucking tell you, honestly. I say that the game's hook is simple to follow, but there is this insane galaxy plot. 50 years go by, there's this doll who's actually Ranko's sister? I don't know, I'm like fucking stupid and I can't understand any of this shit. Wait a minute, you just spoiled the game! Yeah, that's true. Anyone who has played this game can kinda guess why? That's because this game quite literally takes an hour long to beat, maybe even less if you know what you're doing. The core gameplay of this game is dead simple. It's an endless runner. You go from one end of the screen to the other while killing enemies on the way, while also having to ward off whatever zombies are at the end of your screen on the left with your gun that you recharge by killing more enemies. The way the levels are designed kind of remind me of like those classic Sonic games, in the way that they're seemingly huge and have a ton of secret paths to them. Each path containing presents, which is how you unlock more pieces of concept art, which is really cool. It also has some really neat visuals for when you kill enemies, but they can get really overwhelming and ruin the visual clarity a bit, making it a bit harder to navigate through the levels sometimes. Considering this game doesn't take very long to beat, I'd say it's not too hard to go back and replay it. After finishing the game, you can also unlock and use different costumes, which is also really cool. You can get all of them on your first playthrough, so the grind for that isn't too difficult. There is, however, very little variety with the gameplay, other than a couple times you have to do platforming and the very few bosses in this game. The final one is cool though, even though it took me way longer to beat since I didn't actually know you could hit these guys in the final phase of the fight. The Longest Day is surprisingly not a very long game. As a companion piece to the film, it's really cool and a really unique take on the whole anime anthology stuff. The main problem with this game though is two things. One, it was $40 on release, so understandably, gamers were upset at this. Especially more so to this fact since this game isn't really all that mechanically deep and doesn't have too much going for it other than the awesome cutscenes. Two, you can't buy this fucking game anymore. Anywhere. I don't think the PS3 store even has this game anyways, for as little as it can work. So there is no actual way to play this game anymore unless you already owned it on your PS3 or if you played it the way I did, but don't tell anybody where you got it. Would I recommend Longest Day? Honestly, yeah. It's not a very long game, and it's got a really cool style to it and some fucking great music, and oh hey, what are you doing here? If you don't plan on playing this game, however, my friend Garnet Sunset uploaded all the raw cutscenes onto his YouTube channel. They don't have subtitles, but the ones in-game look like a fan translation anyways, so it's not a big deal. They allow you to see the full animation of what's happening uninterrupted, which, again, it looks cool as shit. So yeah, give Longest Day a shot. I'd say it's very much worth it. Most fun hour and a half you can play. To tell you the truth, I honestly wish Grasshopper would go back to making games like these. Not go back to making licensed shit all the time, no, I just mean making more games that are wholly unique in this kind of style. You don't see anybody asking for a Blood Plus remaster or a new game with Aoyama in it, but I am. Just shorter, cooler, smaller projects for Grasshopper to work on. Blood Plus coming around the same time as Killer 7 and 25th Ward makes it feel like this piece of a huge puzzle that no one can really get. It fits really well with Moonlight Syndrome too, since that game also doesn't have a translation, and supposedly Blood Plus is just Moonlight Syndrome 2, or a spiritual sequel to it. It was cool going to games like Blood Plus and Sidetracked, seeing all the ideas that would culminate in Grasshopper's flagship series, that basically cements them as what they are, other than Killer 7, of course. Before they started doing all this evil-ass grindhouse shit, only outlier there being just Killer is Dead. But if there is anything to take away from this video, it's this. You can't buy Diabolical Pitch anymore.
嘘でしょ。宇佐美の散らばる星の間抜け神の手垢のついた創生総合構成捨てないでコスモスに舞うデビル体ごと貫いてくの構成総合構成暗く暗く重なる闇に片目を閉じてひらりと打ち裂けてく銀河の破片キラキララモエリン根はもうゆる満月見たれ心夢破れララララ揺れみなもは揺れる夜空に弾む儚きとくれなしお後がよろしいようで。